Yo. What is up, YouTube boxing family? It's K right here, back at with another good show for you guys. I got my boy, Mr. Sports and Tunes. How are you, man?
How you doing? Good evening. How's it going?
Doing pretty good.
Can you hear
Just
me pretty good?
yeah. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. I got Tim Witherspoon coming in soon. I
No,
already gave everything to him, so
absolutely.
yeah, I'm just waiting up on him. But yeah, like I was gonna say, how's everything with you? How's everything out in California?
It's pretty hectic. We've had rain for the past last week, and then it got sunny a little bit this week, and then it randomly rained a little bit last night. But it looks like it's gonna be clear and sunny for the next few days. How's it going out there in the East Coast?
Doing pretty good.
Your mic keeps muting for some reason.
Yeah. Like I'm sorry about that. Yeah, like I just everything's going good. I got like nothing going on really, but just been focusing on myself and just been having fun, with just interacting with like a lot of good fights, with like the people that I've been talking with.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Well, I can't wait to jump into this topic. Hopefully, Tim comes on soon. But yeah, I had thought about that for the past year and a half. I thought that'd be great for the sport, for any, for high school, for all, everyone would get more opportunities to get action going.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I figured I'd bring it up to you because I think it's a great political idea to battle against, the corruption. Because if you think about it, boxing as a whole is not marketized, and how the state operates in boxing is that you don't have protection financially in your career. You're already coming into the game with little to no experience. And then on top of that, compared to other sports, you have a financial structure because, they're not making you pay for all the like equipment and for all of like your practice sessions. Like that's all covered when you do go to school. But, the difference is like boxing, that deals, with like your life on the line. And obviously that's like a much bigger level of like financial how should I say, like financial destruction, but it's like, markets can easily provide it. It's not like, boxing can't do it. It's just that people don't want to speak up about it, and that's like the biggest problem for the sport. Because I think like the biggest issue is like, when you start out, you want to be successful in anything that you want to do, but if you don't have that structure in front of you, then that's what causes like the divide in those sports that aren't financially how should I say marketized enough. So therefore there's like enough opportunity for the people that are trying to get in.
I absolutely, and I totally agree. And I'm sure it would be like every other sport. You know what I mean? It'd have its pros and cons. For example, all the people that would be against it would be like, "Oh, well, this is really risky. People have lost their lives, and but people can lose their life in any kind of sport, not just in physical contact sports. Athletes die in the most randomest ways. I mean, unfortunately, but that's the only thing I can see that could backfire when people would be like, no, it's too dangerous. But it can also give a lot of opportunity, a lot of jobs, and like you say, it can be well financed to the point where they can make a lot of tournaments. And not only that, it can probably save a lot of kids' lives. It would rather have them busy than having them in the streets doing things they're not supposed to.
Yeah, I was also gonna say that too, because like the criminal aspect really goes down in a lot of poor cities domestically, especially here in America, where studies have shown where kids that grow up in really poor neighborhoods really end up doing better with boxing. And I think like if the sport was just as popular like any other sport, you would see way more competition breed out of like the areas that are not doing good financially, and I think there would be better opportunities for all the young kids out there. And here's Tim Witherspoon on the panel.
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Hey, good evening, Tim. How's it going?
Everything's good, guys.
Oh man. Well, you want to jump up into speed, K Ron?
Oh yeah. We were just talking about the idea of trying to come up with some idea together as like a as like a community to try to bring the idea of boxing into the school system, like college and high school. And we were just brainstorming about the potential ideas.
Right. So like you brought this up to me about a week ago, and I was like, well, I think the best thing for us to do is to like have some people on the panel and us talk back and forth to see, what are good ideas and what are some reasons maybe some people might think that it might not be a good idea as well. So for me, obviously I had my first amateur fight. I was in third grade. I was 8 years old when I had my first amateur fight. So first and foremost, I'm not against any child competing or doing boxing. I think that that's a great thing. I'm a product of it. It's made me a productive citizen of this of where I'm from. But I also think about psychologically the other kids from my high school where I went, um, of how a program of boxing might make some situations dangerous for some people as well. Where I'm from a high school, which I haven't been to high school in about 20 years now, something like that. But I'm from a high school where there was very rich people and there's very poor people. I'm talking about people that lived in mansions and people that lived in, the projects and trailers and all that, all in one school. And those kids that were living in mansions um, could pay for the best basketball coaches, the best situations where the kids and boxing's a weird sport where that doesn't really matter, but at the high school level when you're a kid and it means a lot. So also in those situations you have a lot of cultural differences where if you get a program like because you have your basketball, you have your football, you even have your wrestling, you even have your wrestling, uh but boxing, there's something different about that hand to hand fighting somebody that gives you that extra uh oomph over somebody else, and to have kids have that power, to have a kid already know that they're both 15, but I already know that I can beat up this other 15-year-old. He's nothing, to give him that kind of power, to give him that kind of mindset. I don't know if that'll be good all around the board. um that's what I've been thinking about as far as having it as a high school sport. But then I also think about like the kids that want to fight are going to be the kids that enroll in that program. I just there's so many questions about what would the kids that are on the team or whatever will they be disciplined enough in every school that it won't spill out into the general public, and they won't be fighting each other. We're living in a day and age now where everybody wants to do something for a camera. you know um what do you guys think about what I'm saying?
I think it's great. Me and K Rod were both touching up on that. That we would basically just go to the drawing board and write the pros and the cons. And the cons would be parents being really delicate in certain situations, like kids getting hurt or dying, and like risking their health in the ring. But they do that in any other sport. A kid can be just as in danger in football. It's a contact sport,
Yeah,
and I'm sure in high school and college they would be wearing the headgear and the mouthpiece, right?
of
So
course.
it would be the same kind of protection. That's the only like con that I see. And just the same con that happens in every sport is where parents and the board and the PTA, they just put all their funds and their money into football and baseball, which they call the American sports, which they care about more, and they put every other sport off to the side. That was the case in my high school when I was growing up.
Right. I I think that if it was implemented and implemented right, and then another issue would be how could you have every high school have an a coach that's on the same level as another at another high school, or how can you have someone that is as knowledgeable as another school? You know, you can travel other places around the country and you see that some places don't have the same education in boxing as a Philadelphia, as a New York, as a Detroit, as a Miami. You go to Boise, Idaho, it's not the same. And you know what? Every now and then, a good professional comes out of these places, but it's very far few in between. So we're not talking about a sport where everybody is introduced to it the same. Not everybody has the opportunity to touch boxing as much as they do football. Um, so where are these coaches coming from? Are we putting kids in the hands of people that really know about the sport, or are we putting kids in the hands of people that uh, are going to be using them as guinea pigs because they don't know really what's going on? And that's another component of it. Official uh, trainers, you know, uh, commissions or athletic situations. Uh, there's a lot that goes into it where we have to see, can we make it fair for all these students? I mean, they do it in football, they do it in wrestling, but boxing is really something where if you implement that in school, not everybody can tell everyone to box. You might have a former football player who can come and help teach the high school team, or be an assistant coach, or something along the line like that. But you can in boxing, to protect these kids, you got to have somebody who has at least done it before. And can you do that in every high school across the board? I know that these universities have it. I know some of my students who were in high school that come to a regular box. They don't do it through school, obviously. Have gone on to Penn State and joined their boxing team, and they face other collegiate schools. And actually, when you go to the USA Boxing website, it's an option if you compete collegiately or not. So it might not be as mainstream as their other sports. It might be intramural type of, or you just sign up for it, you have to try out. There's no scholarships or anything. But they do have it at the university level. Now, I agree with it on that level because those kids are adults. They might be kids, but they're adults. They're already, you know, studying their careers, already going to into adulthood. Now, in the high school levels, you have a ninth grader that joins the boxing team, and he has to deal with 12th graders. I don't. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it, and I don't want to be negative because, like I said, I was 8 years old when I had my first fight, but I was taken to a place where they had the experts. I didn't depend on my school you know, to be the experts. They had very good football coaching, very good basketball coaching, but those are boxing's a whole different animal.
Absolutely. What do you think, Kara?
Yeah, like I'm on not the same level because I don't know if I told you, Tim, or of like I forgot like your other name, like Sports and Tunes. But
David.
yeah, David. Like I'm sorry. Yeah, I used to wrestle in high school, and it was at the same principle. Like when you get in there, like you have to be serious. You can't, try to come in, thinking like this is funny. Like I've seen people hurt themselves real bad on the mat. I've seen guys break their limb, break their jaw. Like I've seen it just in 2 years, and that was like junior and senior year, and that's real tough to really try to visualize it in boxing because you like you're going to class and then you're also thinking about what would happen in a fight on top of you going back to school and everybody looking at you in the classroom to say, "Oh, well, he got into the to that tough fight," but it's like, okay, like you're not doing it, but they're doing it. So I think honestly, like on a social level, everybody's gonna criticize you more to say like, yeah, it's good that John he's pursuing his boxing dreams, but I think on the economic scale, that's really where, on a parent level, even though that I'm not like a parent, like that's where Tim's point of view can be justified to say, well, I don't want my kid to get knocked out, at 17 years old, getting into boxing while they're in high school. Like, I think that's a really good point, but
And not just that. What if you're the kid? Well, I don't know. Let's just say the season they have. Let's just say they have 12 matches. What if you're the kid on the team that has lost all 12? Now you got to go back to class with all your classmates. You can't even win one fight. You know, which I'm a fighter. I understand how hard it is to do, but the normal person is not. You're gonna deal with some harshness, from the normal from peers. So high school and kids are ruthless. Um, that's just a hard one, man. They already ridicule them for basketball, football, and all that. Imagine if it was a combat sport like boxing. That's just what I worry about. The collegiate level, university, have at it. Have at it. But high school, maybe this is the solution. In high school, we introduce them to the sport of boxing in their gym classes. Each gym teacher across America can be able to learn some basic boxing skills. They have a whole semester on basic boxing skills, footwork, uh, one twos, one threes, where everybody can participate. They can get the foundation. It'll be easy for the gym teachers to learn, and women, the girls, the boys, kids that are so athletic, everybody participate in it. Then when they get to the level of the university level, they can choose to do it even more. I was a varsity volleyball player, and that kind of me when I was in middle school, junior high school, there was no volleyball team for the. But what they did was they would have the high school coaches come let us do it intramurally. So when we finally got to high school, when they had volleyball, we already had the foundation. Maybe that's the key in high school is to introduce them to the sport in a way where they can have it and use it for exercise, use it for coordination, use it to learn basic self defense skills, and then when they can decide after that if they want to pursue it further. Maybe that might be one solution. I don't know.
Right. Or another thing that can probably help is why not have the kids do it since they're younger than that? Like, for example, there's like you said, you started when you were in third grade.
Yeah,
Probably the parents would be like, okay, since they're gonna implement it for high school, they probably start training since younger, and there would also be the tryout process like in every other sport where they have to try out to make a team,
yeah.
and I'm sure it would be based on weight class as well. They wouldn't be putting heavy weights with featherweights. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So
Uh,
I think it would be great if everybody was to get on board, and let's say they to make it fun and interesting, they can probably make it where CIF would be at nice venues. You know what I mean?
no, they would have to have it in the school gyms.
Yeah, school gyms, but like to make it fun, to make it for people to, like attend and maybe make some kind of money out of it. They can, if for Vegas schools, probably at like the T-Mobile Arena or something like that
Oh,
out here in
is that where
California.
you're at? You're in Vegas or California?
I'm in California. Like for example, if it were to be here, the probably biggest venue would be out in LA.
Right. That would probably be good for like all the schools in the city to come to and have a big tournament.
Yeah. So like I said, it
In
would just be a lot of
California,
people
though, that
agreeing.
in California that might start some gang stuff. I don't know. You
Yeah, or
might,
probably kids would be want to boxing instead of gang banging.
yeah, the act. You got a point there. You got a point there.
They would have to prove it with their fists and not with guns.
I totally agree with that.
That's what I was telling K Rod before you jumped on. I think it would be that would be the only win-win aspect of it, where it would save kids from getting into mischief. Just put all that energy into the gym instead.
Right.
So I don't know if you want to touch on something else, K Rod.
Yeah, I just wanted to maybe just talk about the political and economic, principle of what could be the, you know, way to go. Like I was thinking, like maybe to add into Tim's point, like if we could do it like a grassroots thing where we could get like former fighters, maybe like a Shane Mosley or any of those guys together and try to like make it huge. Like I think it would be awesome. Like I think that's something that could be easily like influenced pretty heavy, but um I just think like this is a great idea and it should be pushed at a greater level.
Right. I think so too. I honestly I think if it were everybody would be positive about it, I think everybody would be on board the WBC, all the conventions. You know what I mean? WBC, all the boxing federations and stuff. I'm sure they'd probably like the idea and have more for them in the future if they were to think long term.
I agree with it being a positive thing for the kids. Um, I just worry about being spread thin with authentic people to help. Um, because kids are going to be risking their lives, and if we could get some retired boxers in each state to travel the whole state and go school to school and help these kids, yeah, but the high school, in South Central is going to be different than the high school in Fresno, like as far as who they can assess and who they can get to help them with boxing. Um and and that's what I worry about. Some kids are going to have a better advantage over the other kids simply because of the education that they receive, just like real education. It happens in real life. Um so should we let those kids uh compete with kids that might have Freddie Roach as their coach, or I don't know. That's the part that I just worry about. Just to be spread too thin with authentic teaching.
Yeah, I agree. I think it just needs to be like a proper foundation because like I said with wrestling, like I didn't get into like the sport being uneducated. Like I was coming in with no experience, but after like my first year, I was like 9-3, and then heading into like my second year, I was 27-3 because I was taught with like the best coaches like
Right.
out there. And I came out of Shenandoah High School. That's a school out in Cleveland Park, New York. But they're like one of like, the best wrestling schools out there in upstate New York in competition with all the other schools. So I mean, if you could have stuff like that at the college level, that would be awesome. Like Duke University, North Carolina, all these divisional schools that can easily bring in, like the best coaches ever. I don't see why that can't happen for, boxing. You can, like, I think honestly, you should get all the best trainers, like a Derek James, Coach Nelson Rodriguez, even like I think there should be, a whole gigantic roster of like a free agency of like trainers, and then those schools based off of like your performance as a trainer, like they can hire you and try to see where you at as far as like leading, like a whole squad.
All right, so then let me keep playing devil's advocate, because these good coaches could stay in their own gyms or wherever they're training people, and they can make an hourly rate training people 50, 60, 70, $80 an hour, and they could go to those high schools and get paid, you know, $200 for a whole month. So there's the economic side to that too that we have to think about. It has to be someone that's willing to, or someone that's willing to give up uh making money somewhere else to dedicate themselves to training a high school team, um or someone who is not in that situation of making money. But most likely the best trainers already have a schedule, they already have people that they're training, and it's already a business for them. um it's it, it's just so many components to it. Now, do you let these high schools just figure it out themselves and get trainers and that they choose, and let some schools be bad and let some schools be really good? I don't know how you do that, or am I thinking too much into it? But I already know that, like, these kids, there's a school, Chambersburg, near me, that has a boxing program. That's a university. Penn State, I have kids that I train that go there. Um, uh, and they'll tell me themselves that their trainers are not uh, as adequate as I am. They're finding people that have trained in boxing for a little bit to become the head coach and run the programs. Um, so that's where I'm coming from when I say that. Um, it's really hard to find the talent to make these kids, you know, 100% safe, 100% being able to compete with all the high schools. So I can understand if every high school had the same kind of trainer or whatever, but that's not going to be the case.
Definitely, I agree. I mean, it's like K Rod said, probably the politics that are involved, where they're gonna have a not so experienced coach try to be the head coach and run the show, and that's just not gonna be good for the fighters or
And that,
athletes.
that and that happens in the pros already. You see somebody that fakes it to becoming somebody's head trainer. It happens in the pros. you know. So imagine somebody getting the opportunity. Oh yeah, I'll come and teach this high school. I got one
Absolutely.
amateur fight myself. I'll come teach them. You know, it's a rocky. Can it be done? Yeah, it can be done, but I think that there has to be a lot of oversight.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's why that I said, like, it needs to be marketized to a level where nobody can't just get in. I want, like, if I had kids and I wanted to get them into boxing, and it was introduced in high school, I want to pay for a good trainer. And if you're one of those good trainers like you are, Tim, I want you to be that trainer, because if my son or daughter or any other family members wants to become world champion, why can't you just have it, set up through like a, through like a what you call it, through like a reputational based system where like there's trust, within, the communities, and it's like a decentralized database network where everyone can like work hand in hand together.
Yeah, but the thing is like, all right, so there's this kid that came to my gym. He moved here from Wisconsin. He said that there was no boxing gym where he was from. He looked me up before he moved here. He knew he was coming to the area. He moved here, and he was so happy. He showed up every day. And then he had to end up moving back, and he was sad. He was like, "Yo, there's no place where I'm from that's like this." So, if there's no place outside of the high school that has a boxing gym, how are they going to do it? On the inside, that means that that school that he's from in Wisconsin, they're going to have a farmer teaching them how to box.
Yeah.
So these are just situations that I come in contact with that make me think about things like that. Maybe they pull. I don't know. There will be a solution. Maybe you pull a, a couple of high schools together and fight regions or something like that. I don't know. Instead of just one high school versus another high school, uh, there is a way to do it, but there's just not enough good instructors.
Right. And you think there would be where every high school would have to compete, or else they wouldn't even start the program? For example, if not every high school wanted to participate.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to have it like there are other programs. I mean, you're going to each high school to play basketball. I mean, not every high school has every sport. My high school, I was very privileged. They had everything from tennis to golf to archery and everything at my high school to play other high schools. But you go to some of these schools with low funding and everything. All they have is football, basketball.
Right.
Some of these schools in the city don't have soccer or anything like that. So it's that's another part of it, man.
Yeah, like for example, out here, all the Division Ones or like the schools with money, those are the schools that have lacrosse. All most public schools they don't
Right,
participate in lacrosse
right.
sports.
I had lacrosse at my high school,
Yeah,
like field hockey, like
yeah,
you know. Um, but you know what? Boxing is a good sport where you don't really need to be rich. You don't need that. You just need determination, but you also need someone that knows
yeah,
that's what you need. You need someone that knows that all you need is determination and to give you the tools to only use that
absolutely.
to succeed. So where I'm gonna have to just say that meanwhile I do wish that we could make it a high school sport. As of the way that things are right now, I probably would hold off on it until you can ensure that everybody has a fair chance.
Right. Well, just imagine that being, it would be history in the making. You know what I mean? Be boxing being implemented as an official high school sport.
I think that it should be implemented into a class, into a curriculum for people to learn that each gym teacher can learn the basics, learn the 1 2s, the 1 2 3s, learn how to slip and roll and a couple of other things and teach the kids for a semester or something boxing, an intro to boxing. And then that way those kids can research their local boxing gym or another situation to where they can go and get some more better help because you can't just I mean you're trusting basketball coaches and they're not even winning for you. How you gonna how you gonna trust a boxing coach?
Definitely.
So
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That's my point of view.
Right. I think my nephew would love it because he trains boxing and he plays soccer in high school. So he definitely love the idea of boxing being a sport in high school.
Could you imagine if I was on my high school boxing team?
You would be knocking everyone out.
I would be, yeah. I couldn't imagine. I would be like the best thing that ever happened to my high school.
You'd probably have a bunch of
But
international students just jumping over to be to be athletes out in high school.
but that's because I went to a gym that was reputable. I didn't get taught by you know the high school janitor that says that he can teach the school boxing,
Yeah.
and not everybody.
That'd be amazing. That would make a movie right there. The high school janitor becomes the best trainer of the year for the high school.
Yeah, if he can. But like I'm saying, he would have to compete with me, who had a two-time heavyweight world champion training him.
Yeah, but imagine his fighter would be the winner, the underdog.
It's a good imagination. I mean, it's a good imagination. I don't know. Um, where the scenario is, where does this janitor get his knowledge from?
Yeah,
Where does he get his education from?
right.
So if he's very knowledgeable, then yeah, but that's not everywhere. I know my janitors at my high school couldn't do it.
They couldn't tie their own shoes.
Nah, they couldn't do it. So
Yeah. Well, like I said, it has its pros and cons, but why not push for something great to happen and make a
yeah,
change?
definitely. I mean, and for me, I think that intramurally it makes sense.
Definitely.
Intramurally, but when you get to the competing with other schools and making it like a real, like, you know like the Golden Gloves and everything like that, I think that's where you get into some murky waters and stuff.
And it would also make a lot of competition for the Olympic team.
Yeah, I mean, it would introduce a lot more people to the sport. Period.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I mean, let's hope for the best.
Yeah. So K Rod got his mic off, huh? Is that what that says?
Oh no. Like I was just waiting for you guys to finish, but
He's a professional.
I see. I see.
yeah, yeah.
Look, I
Like I
mean,
was,
go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say, like in principle, if this idea was to work, and let's just say like all the other sports like got involved, like the NFL, NBA, like just on the like American scene, like if more money was invested by big time investors that were really interested, could that like fuel like the argument to say like, okay, now there's more funding, therefore there's no need to say that if you're some poor kid from Kentucky that wants to get involved in boxing, you actually have like a financial structure now, and like even if you're coming from like a like from like another country, like if you want to become great in boxing and you want to come over here to the states, you know to like get your opportunity, right? That could be like another open door for college and high school to say, hey, like instead of going to some gym that you're not comfortable going to, that doesn't give you the high level training and the high level sparring, you know, this such and such school or university can easily get you to where you need to be, and by time, like I'm sorry, like by time when you get up to that level of building up your record and actually have an education back like with it, that just gives you more financial liberty to like expand your goals of like where you want to be before and after your career is over.
I mean, not to keep being playing devil's advocate, okay? But I feel like that's my job. All right, let's just say Harvard. Let's just say Harvard has one starter for each weight class, and then one backup for those weight classes. What is that? 10 spots, 20 spots on the team. So how many schools can get to the highest quality programs? You're gonna make it even harder for a good boxer to get to these programs than it even is to make a football team. A football roster has 80 kids. There's not 80 kids that are going to be able to fight on the boxing team. It's impossible. So that is it's a noble thing to try to do, but the competition, only the best kids will get it to get there. And it'll be good, if we get a lot of inner city kids to get scholarships to uh
Private schools.
private schools, Harvard, Stanford, for boxing. But to me it wouldn't be enough.
Right.
It wouldn't be enough. So the financial thing is not the answer. First of all, amateurs, they don't get paid. They're not supposed to get paid, get compensated. Um, it has to be with the education part, educating these people that are going to be around the kids, uh, not just with boxing skills, but also with um, people skills, with um, there's a whole bunch that goes into being a coach. Having good conduct. There's a whole lot in it. We could talk about this subject all day.
Right.
you
Well,
know,
it seems like they're trying to make boxing out of everything. Now everybody wants to be a boxer when it comes to big older people. Celebrity boxing. You got the
Yeah,
Jake Pauls. You got the UFC fighters trying to jump into boxing.
but even these guys are going to real gyms.
Yeah, that's true.
You
And
know,
and I think that would be the structure for the high school. It would be
take them to a real gym.
athletes that try to go train, yeah, or like I said, since they're young, to go to an actual gym where the boxing trainer would get an offer from the high school or the school to assess other coaches to
But
be
where
at
does
that speed.
where does that kid in Wisconsin that wants to fight? Where does his school get a coach from?
I think that's where K Rod was trying to say it. Like the funding would probably pay for a coach to fly out and stay there and assess a couple coaches out there.
And then I I don't know. I don't know because there's some schools that can't even afford books.
Right.
So affording to fly coaching just seems kind of it seems very very it would be definitely easy for the high school that I went to. They would be able to fly someone in, no problem. Uh, but that high school that, like I said, it doesn't have books. That 80% of the kids are on free lunch. They're not going to be able to fly in a coach from somewhere to train them, or spend the resources. So I don't know. I think that the best thing to do is to introduce these kids to the sport. Maybe they'll be more likely to fight each other in the hallway with their fists than take it out with guns or something because they were introduced to the sport. But to have them to be able to compete with each other is a whole different story.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's a whole different story. I wish, and it's like this. Maybe these high schools got to get a connection with their local boxing gym and funnel them there where those people can be trusted with them. Where they can dedicate the time where there's not a grade on it. They can take their time with these kids. There's the difference between school sports and boxing. I've done them both. I was a football player, a basketball player, and like I said, I was a varsity volleyball player. Um, nothing. I quit them all for boxing because there's nothing like it. And those coaches that I had, I loved them to death. But boxing is a different lifestyle, and there's some things that you just can't you can't teach somebody unless you have been in the sport for a while.
Right.
Yeah. So you guys got you brought a pro on here, man. You shouldn't have brought a pro on the show.
Well, sometimes it takes the pros to either make you or break you. They either make it happen or just break the illusion completely.
Yeah, definitely. But some some of these kids, they're gonna get that illusion broken early with with the wrong teaching or the wrong situation. You know,
Right.
and look, not for nothing, you need somebody to know when a kid is in over their head, when they shouldn't be fighting, not just throwing a kid in there because they want to throw him in there. I see that happen in boxing gyms where people are supposed to know better. They just throw a kid in there and they shouldn't do it. Imagine a boxing coach on his first year, second year. Hopefully by his second year he learned.
Right.
But um it's just this when you got kids risking their lives, you got to think deeper. And they do risk their lives in football and other sports, but it's something different about the boxing.
Hmm. Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that statement because it's just like like it's more to do with the long term, because you're obviously taking like a lot of damage, and if there's no like proper financial structure to like cover all the damages for like all the fights covered leading up until after they graduate, leading into college years, then I can see your point. That's going to be a really tough road to try to handle.
Right.
I was,
And the only thing I can say about, like I said, another pro, the only thing that can probably prevent anything happening is probably setting up like it already is the format on Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, where
That,
you have the
that's
top
on the
fighters
yeah,
being those schools that have the good coaching or whatnot.
yeah, that's on the university level though. You know, you only got junior varsity and varsity in high school. Um, which is, I guess that's cool. You probably could get a good uh you
Frosh
probably
Toss.
you probably can get a good team out of both of those for one high school, junior varsity, varsity. Um, I don't think that that would be the problem. There'll be plenty of kids trying out.
Hmm. Like I said, the only way to go about it is either you push it or you just let it rest.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, why not have community colleges work with high schools, and then that could be funded through the community colleges through like college, sponsorships, like scholarship, funding programs, right? Like maybe that could work.
maybe, or maybe we just wait until they get to college.
Yeah, that too. I mean, that's the only way they can really train at this point, since there's no high school system for boxing. That's the only thing they do. They find a personal gym, or you know what I
Yeah,
mean, a boxing gym, and just train their ass off until they get to that college level.
yeah, and not for nothing, that personal gym is their school. You
Pretty much.
know that is their school, so you can't really it works out for those kids that do have to go to regular school and then go to a boxing gym because elementary school, their middle school, their high school, and their university.
Right.
Um, I really do think that though schools should implement it, and like you said earlier, at an early age,
Yeah.
so the discipline part of it can kick in, and kids can know fighting is for self defense, and if you're gonna defend yourself, this is how you're supposed to do it. And who knows, if you start that early, by the time you get to high school, maybe you'll have a whole little sect of kids that want to take it even farther.
Right.
Yeah, I just think it's just important to like bring up the possible scenarios, because like I think it's a brilliant idea on paper, but obviously when like when we talk about philosophical principalities and the axiomatic outcomes, then that's something that's a lot more problematic to dig into.
Yeah. But so my final thoughts on this is that I'm all for it on the university level, the college level. I think for it to happen on the high school level, there has to be a little bit more oversight. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying that uh, it's a little bit more complicated than just letting the kids do it. And but I do think that everybody should do it, and I do think that there should be some curriculum in high schools that refer to it. I
Right.
just said that because my phone is about to die, and I'm
No
ready
worries.
to take off. So
Well, yeah, no. Well, we're gonna have to start a petition and get a lot of signatures, and we'll see.
that's it, man. That's it. So K Rod, I appreciate you having me on the show, man.
Oh man, thank you for your time, Tim. Appreciate you, man.
And nice meeting you.
Oh
Of
man, I always tune in to you and
course,
Skywalker.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All right, jump on the panel on Sunday.
I will, man. I will. All
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'll holler at you later.
right, man. Have a good one.
So
All right.
so Tim.
All right, K Rod. Well, I guess that's the way we're gonna have to go about it. We're gonna start that petition and see who's for it and who's against it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Like I'm just thinking about all of what the media insight that everybody would have on it. But like I said, like if you could get those big names like a Shane Mosley or like a Tim Witherspoon Senior or a Riddick Bowe, like those guys, like looking at it and with the consistency that we're putting in to
Yeah.
try to make it good, then I don't see how it can't be denied. Like
Right.
I think it's just simply due to like the high school level where people would be concerned about it. But I think if people understand, like in the sport of wrestling, like people know those like, those athletes go through a lot of risk, you know,
Definitely.
and even when people get into WWE and MMA, like that's risky too. Like
Mm-hmm.
people, like people don't understand that, but in boxing,
Right.
like
I
it
think
should
that
be.
would be the same structure as wrestling, though. The same, like how many fighters or how many wrestlers are in a wrestling team in high school?
Uh, Not many, but when you look at it on a national level here in America, we have the best competition when it comes to wrestlers, and those competitive levels are heavily scaled based off of how many tournaments you compete, how many notable distinctive victories you get in certain tournaments or certain matches. And when you get up there to the Olympic level or even let the world like amateur level, like that's really difficult to get into. And I actually know plenty of people that have gotten into that, and I actually ran into former U.S. Olympian Jordan Burroughs, where he even told me about his 2012 Olympic run. That was tough. Like that wasn't easy. Like they have a good structure where when you get in, you're in. You had to earn your spot to get in.
Right,
But
and that's what I was trying to convince Tim. Why not do the same thing for boxing?
yeah,
Obviously, everybody's gonna want to try out and compete and make the team, but not all the best fighters are gonna make it to CIF.
yeah. And I think, like, at the professional level, like, that's where, the concerns would even be high, for, like, anybody wanting, to have their child go pro, and then, they're going through high school. But, the thing is like, when you get into any sport, you have to go through all the physical checkups. And if you know what you're putting yourself into before everything gets shut off overnight, based on based off of one certain occurrence that could potentially kill you, you know what's what's going to happen.
Right,
Like like for me, like, I was never afraid to get into that situation, when I got into wrestling, because I knew what my risk was going to be. I'm gonna get slammed. I'm gonna go through cuts. Like I'm gonna go through war. So in boxing, like, I don't see where, where the divide has to be drawn. Otherwise,
right,
you know, if your kid really wants to become world champion and do the things that you want to do to be successful, by all means, that's their destiny. You can't stop them from doing that. But if you know that someone that isn't cut for, like, the sport, then that's where, like, awareness needs to be put in now, instead of just saying, okay, well, you have an idea, and therefore, you have something that people may want or may not want. No, it's all about just being consistent and just coming out, with the facts, just to be like, hey, this is what we believe in, and if your kid believes in it too, then that should be set up for those people that want to be successful.
absolutely. Yeah, well, we would have to spread the word and share videos like this and ask people, do you agree? What are your thoughts? And maybe that's the best way to go about it.
Yep. I think that's what the way. And again, if it becomes huge, and we can make a huge mark of it, I don't see how other professional fighters that are popular now can get behind it.
Definitely.
Like, like how Tim and you were talking about YouTube boxing, like YouTube boxing was never popular until now. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like, how is that ever to be popular without having the spread of social media and having other fighters get interested in it? Like, that's
Right.
what made that foundation. But it's like, for boxing at a universal level, for high school and college, that's huge.
Mhm.
That should be, what YouTube boxing is now. You know, I'm just, gonna put, like, my final thoughts on, but it's like, if you could think about all the major promotional networks, like, I'm not saying promoters, but if you just have networks that just, care about, like, the sport, and they want to display all the best talent, imagine that at college and high school. You could have your Derrick Roses of the NBA. You could have your LeBron James type fighters out of the, boxing world. Like, that talent pool would be so large that you can't deny it, because there's so much talent you could bring from those low developed neighborhoods, where those kids can actually be successful. And I understand, like, the economic ramifications behind it. That's going to be tough. But if you could marketize that, where we have, like, a massive community built together with it, then I think for the end of what the tunnel, that could be successful. And that's, like, my final, take on it.
Right, and not only that, what I was also trying to add is it would also create a lot of more not necessarily jobs, but more hobbies or things to do for the kids that don't want to box. That can be the kids that are part of the high school. It would give the camera program or what videography or what is it, so they can go and record the events and have something for their high school to have as the production.
Yeah, that's another great opportunity too. Like, there's so many jobs you can make out of the sport,
Mm-hmm.
and you can inspire so many people to get into it. Like, like, about, how, we were talking about all the other positions that should be marketized, like judging, refereeing,
Mm-hmm.
becoming a manager, becoming a promoter, becoming a, I don't know, like, anything that you could think of, like
Yeah,
that.
like I said, there's film, and there's photo also in boxing. There's photographers. There's videos. There's anything. What we do, the people that like to be out there and talk with the fighters.
Yeah, like that would be amazing. And I just think like sooner than later, like that's gonna be gigantic.
Absolutely,
So
and like you said, the thing that would push it and can help it grow would be the social media, which is already what makes things get seen worldwide.
yeah, and I do my best every day to be consistent. Because if I was lying and I wasn't, coming out, without the truth, then I would feel bad for myself even saying that. Because
Absolutely,
it's
man.
just like you're not helping let the sport grow. That's what brings in all of like your casuals of like all these major big time YouTube channels that just keep lying and keep misleading let the boxing public, right? And that's
Hmm.
what, like, that's what drives people away from not wanting to get into boxing
Yeah.
versus basketball, football, baseball, hockey, like all the major sports here in America or globally. They have such a great promotional model to get people involved. Like they have so many programs you could think of. Like for basketball, they have multiple academies for all the top level competition that you could think of that go to that academy. Like
Yeah.
Image Academy, like Oakland, whatever, academy out in California, right? Like they have
Hmm.
so many skill based academies. But for boxing, think about that. That would be huge. Like
Right.
if yeah, like if LeBron James, if he created his own boxing skills like academy, that would be big. Like everything that you could think of, like that would be massive. But I'm just putting it out there. I think it's a great idea. I think it's something to start, and if it were to be big, like it would be ginormous. You know?
Right. And then it would also create jobs for healthy eating.
Yeah, that too.
Yep. All that's nutrition. It, like I said, it can create a lot of opportunities, and not just opportunity jobs and just the better future for everyone else. It's just when and if everybody puts their part.
Yeah, I definitely think that's what the end goal would be. I don't want to think about having all the janky corruption behind it because that's what I'm arguing against, and that's what I want to see taken out.
Mm-hmm.
But for our idea that we're talking about, like that's something that I'm trying to like say like that would be like the better future. That would just get all of these bad actors out of the sport.
Right. Definitely, man. Well, like I said, we'll just keep pushing for now, and hopefully more people will get on board and agree or disagree at the same time. We're not everyone's gonna want to agree, I bet, but hope for the
Yeah,
best.
yeah, for sure. Well, like I appreciate having this conversation. Like I'm gonna spread it on my podcast, and I'll get to work on it. So
Yeah, man, we'll get it, man. Thanks for the opportunity, and like I said, anytime, just reach out and we'll see what we can do to help.
yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, K. Rod. Have a good weekend, man. Stay safe.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Take care, man.
Peace out. All right, y'all. Thank you guys for another great opportunity. Obviously, this is on the small channel, so this will be uploaded to the big channel once I'm able to upload. Just had some weird unnecessary YouTube censorship, but um, either way, once I do have this uploaded, I'll put this on the podcast for you guys. So be sure to like, rate, comment, subscribe, support the podcast links. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys later. And salute to the mighty LDBC and TWT family. I'm out. Peace out. I'll see y'all later. And here's the outro.